So I'd like to show you how to make a really quick bed cake. I'm going to put Father Christmas in the bed, but it's a great one for all year round. You can make it untidy teenagers' bedroom scene. Now I've iced the board and I've marked it off for a wood effect. You can just colour it any colour you like and texture it to make a carpet effect if you prefer to do that. Then ice the cake and place that on the centre of your board. And now I've used softened sugar paste to attach it onto the board. And then you need to make a couple of headboards. So make a template, very straightforward basic shape. You can make it more fancy if you prefer. And this one is the headboard size, so that's that side. And then trim a small piece away to make the footboard, so it's slightly lower than the headboard. Cut them out, place them on a sponge pad to dry, and then roll out some sausages of paste, attach them onto each end of the boards, and then roll out some small balls to go on top. So it's a really basic shape. You'd leave all that, the headboards, to dry before you attach it onto the cake. And again, I've used softened sugar paste. So it's just taking a ball of sugar paste, adding water to it. Just knead it first of all, adding water to it, smoothing it onto the headboard, and then attach them onto the cake. And then leave that to dry, just to set for a couple of hours before you decorate it with the Father Christmas. So I'm going to make the pillow. So I'm taking a piece of paste. I'm going to do a yellow pillow. I won't do white because I'm going to put white hair on the Father Christmas and it wouldn't really show up. So I've chosen yellow. Work it into a nice round ball so that it's nice and smooth, then into a sausage shape, flatten slightly, and then press your thumb in the middle, so that's where the Santa's head's going to go, so it looks as though it's sort of sunken into the pillow. Then use your Dresden tool just to mark on a few gather lines. Pull them out a little bit more because his head will take up that space. And then you can just use a pair of crimpers just to go around the outside edge, just to give it a nice frill. You don't have to do this, you can leave it plain if you want to. When you're crimping, have your crimpers so that it's curved side up. And now I'm just going to use water to attach that onto my cake. So I'll just pull the cake back in. A little water there, not too much, and pop the pillow on. Just press that down slightly. And so we're now ready to mould the Santa's head. So for Santa's head, very basic, ball of paste, roll it round. If you find that you're getting creases on your paste, then roll in the opposite way to the way you normally roll, and the creases should disappear. And I'm using water again for sticking. Pop that in the centre of the pillow. And then take a small piece of paste and pop that again in a nice round shape, and pop that on. Just flatten it slightly for Santa's nose. So I'm going to put a blanket on here. Firstly, I'm just going to put a marshmallow body. So you can take one of the large marshmallows. It doesn't have to be marshmallow, it can be a lump of paste, or it could be a chocolate, entirely up to you. And then I'm going to cut that in half. And place that where his tummy will be. And then another piece. And pull that in half and pop that on. That's going to be his feet. Just so that you've got a little bit of shape underneath the when we put the blanket on. Again, if there is a little bit soft or if it's going to move, then just use water just to attach that on, like so. So I'm going to make the blanket, and it's best to make a template first. So just measure down across there. So that's about the right length, and it's from the chin down to the footboard. So move that out of the way. And I'm going to roll out some paste. And I'm just using, again, yellow just to match the pillow. I need that so it's nice and pliable. And roll it into a sausage shape first of all. Now I always roll out on Trex, which is a vegetable shortening, and you can buy it from most supermarkets. It looks like that in the butter aisle. So I'm going to roll out the sugar paste. Let's stand up for this. And then just check the size with your paper template. So it needs to be a little bit longer. With a template again, nearly there. In fact, if you just pull the paste into shape, again check on your templates, that's fine. Put that on there, and then use a sharp knife to cut around your template. If you prefer, you can use a pasta wheel to cut round instead of a knife. And then you can either leave it plain, you can emboss it, you can paint it, you can put little stars on. I'm going to emboss it with a little holly embossing cutter. Now this could be painted if you wanted to spend the time painting, or just leave it as an embossed pattern. That's from the mini Holly Ivy set. Just going to retrim that little bit off there, tidy it up. Okay, so I'll bring the cake back in, and I'm just going to put some water on the sides, and then drape that down And if you think there's too much paste, then just again trim off the surplus. And just tuck that round, just tidy it up. And that's enough to hold it. And because you haven't stuck it down, you can make little gathers or just get a little bit of movement in there, just so that it's not just flat against the side. Leave it like that. Okay, so we're going to now put all the white hair and beard on Santa. And to do this, I'll just move the cake out of the way. To do this, I'm going to use white sugar paste and a small sieve. Now, you can use a large sieve. You'll get larger pieces from a large sieve, but I'm just using this small tea strainer. So just take it a small piece at a time, work it so it's nice and soft and pliable. You could also use a garlic press if you wanted to, but I tend to use that for longer strands. But this is fine for bobbles, beards, hair, anything like that. Just push that through. And then, again, use water for sticking. And we'll start off with the hair. Use a small knife just to lift and attach them on. And then use a cocktail stick or the end of a Dresden tool just to separate the little pieces. Just fluff them up. And then continue around. Make sure the hair goes right down, otherwise you'll have a bald Santa. So now we have the beard on and the hair. I'm just going to take a small piece of darker flesh colour and a little water. Even that's too big. Just make a very small piece. And this is going, because he's snoring. Put that there. And then use the end, something, either paintbrush handle or the frilling stick, and just push that in. And then just bring out the beard around it, just so he's snoring. And then I'm going to draw the eyes on. Always best actually if you leave the head for an hour or two just to dry before you draw it, but I'll do it straight away. And I'm just using a food pen because he's asleep. All you need to do is the half moon shape. Okay, so I'm going to make 2 hands. So have a ball of paste and cut it into 2 equal pieces. To make sure they're the same size, and then taper that down, press the hand, cut a thumb, remove that, press the end of the thumb, and 1, 2, 3. Bring the hands round a little bit. Same with the other one. So into a ball, into a cone, press the end, and this time I need to cut the thumb on the opposite side, so it's that side. 1, 2, 3. Press the points away, and then bring back the cake. I'm just going to lift the blanket, moisten the hand with water, and pop that underneath, making sure that it's the thumb is pointing inwards, otherwise you've got the round the wrong way. So a little moisture on that one, and just curl them round. I'm going to make some clothes using our Santa's clothes set, and I'm going to cut them out and drape them on the end of the bed, and also, because he's an untidy Santa, I'm going to put a few on the floor. So for this you need to have a firm paste. Now you can use flour paste, which you can buy from the shops, or if you haven't got that, you can use just ordinary sugar paste, but you do need to add a little Tylo powder, just a pinch, just to firm it up. So you would need that in just to firm that up, and then a little Trex on the board, and roll out. And you need to roll it thin. And don't lift the paste up and down. Make sure that it's stuck down on your board, and then it won't lift into the cutter when you come to cut out the pieces. So I'm going to start off with the jacket. You cut the whole thing out in red, first of all. So just press around the outside edge, and then lightly on the inner. That's just to mark where you're going to put the different coloured pastes. So flick the cutter away, that will stay on there. Do the same with the hat. Again, Trex the cutter, press around the outside edge, flick to remove it. The socks. And these also look great to hang round if you're doing a washing line around your cake. I'll put this one over here. Again, press around the outside, lightly in the middle, and the trousers. And again, a little flick to remove that, and then peel the paste from around the outside edge. Just help that one along a little bit. Go all the way around the outside first, just to remove the bulk of the paste. And if the paste is thin, then you shouldn't need to go round with your knife. The cutter has done the work for you. If you do get any small pieces, use a little cocktail stick or the end of your Dresden tool if the small pieces are still attached, just to remove them. So once you have them cut out, then I'm just going to put them to one side, and I'm going to cut out some white pieces to go on top. So just slide your knife, peel and pop that, just put them to one side. This one, I'm just going to paint the little band and the buttons on the pants, so there's no need to put any extra white. This one will have white, so we'll put that to one side. And the socks, again, the little heels, I will just paint them black. So lift that. So when you lift, peel it from, like a skin, peel it from the board. Don't pull. So I've cut out the pieces that I need in white from the paste, and I'm just going to bring the jacket back over, and I'm using water for sticking, and I'm going to do the bottom of the coat in white and the top and round the neck. So just pull away, oh, and the cuffs. So pull away the pieces that you need, pop them over there. Just give a press so that they do actually go around the red. You don't see sort of two layers. Take this one. I'm just going to pull this away from the body and remove that. Remove that. Pop those on top. Again, give it a little press. And now this part here, take that shoulder away. Cut across there. Now you do need to remove this little piece in the centre. So that when this goes on top, you will see the back of the coat sort of showing through around the collar or below the collar. Okay, so for the hat, just remove these pieces out of the way. Oh, I've just forgotten that bit there, is the buckle. So I'm going to put that on. Put that on there. I'm going to paint that gold, and it's easier to paint it gold if it's a white background rather than the red. So for the hat, just bring that over. And again, a little water, a little pom-pom. Remove that part, pop it on top. Press around the edge. And the pom-pom itself, I'm going to, again, a little water on there, and I'm going to push a small piece of the paste back through the sieve. And you can just pop that on top. Put that to one side. And then the trousers. And what I forgot to do before was actually put the eyebrows on Santa. So I've just taken 2 tiny strands off here and I've popped them onto Santa's face. So again, a little water, and take the little white parts of the base of the trousers, pop that on top. And then I'm going to paint all the black sections. So I'm using alcohol and dust colour. You could use a paste colour if you prefer, but I'm quite happy with the dust and the alcohol. The alcohol evaporates very quickly. If for any reason you don't want to use alcohol, then use pure lemon extract. That dries very quickly too. Just put that to one side. Bring the little pants over. And the socks, the heels of the socks. There's a small piece that I can see that's still between the socks there, so I'm just going to remove that. I didn't notice that before, but just take that out. Just separate them out a bit more. And then finally the jacket. So it's the, don't worry about that. If that happens, just pop it back on. So it's the belt that I'm going to paint black. And then use the gold dust colour, and again a little more alcohol. And I do tend to mix the colours in the lids so that when the alcohol evaporates away, it just goes back to a dust colour. So you don't waste any colour, it just goes back. The lid on your, goes back on your pot. So I've got a nice little gold buckle on there. Now this wrist will probably stay separate, but that's okay. We can stick it back on when it's in situ. So I'm going to attach all the clothes onto the bed, and again just use water for sticking. So I'm going to put the jacket hanging over the edge here. So put them on while they're still soft, obviously. And then attach the little piece that came off there. So it's never a big problem. If you lose bits, just stick them back on. And then I'll put the trousers, I think, again hanging over the edge like so. And once you're happy where they are, just a little moisture just to attach them on. And then we'll put the pants on the floor, on the wooden floor. His hat and his socks in the middle. I'll move that because I'm going to put something else there in a moment. So I'll put his socks, again, just hanging over the end. Like so. Now in the pack you also get a small set of all the little clothes, and so I just pop them. They're perfect for cupcakes or cookies. Just do them exactly the same way as I've just done the large ones. And then you also get this little date calendar. So it says on here December the 25th. So he's obviously been out all night delivering his parcels, and he's in bed now having a good rest. So all you do for this, work some paste. It can be flour paste or the sugar paste with some Tylo in it, but just so that it's a little firmer. Roll out. Now when you're doing this colouring on the lettering, it's so important to smooth over to make sure you haven't got any ridges. You may feel that it's nice and level, but it's so important to do this. And now I'm going to use these. Now these are just makeup sponges that you buy from the makeup counter in the supermarkets, but the sponge is really close. There's no holes on there, so it's a perfect embossing pad. And I've already spread some colour on mine. I'll do one fresh so that you can see. So you would take some paste colour, whichever colour you want, and if you just do it down the centre, it gives you a little piece of the sponge to hold on to so you don't get too mucky. On this one, I went over the whole area with red, and you end up with red fingers. So you can just go over the one area and really smooth that colour in, and then you dab the colour onto the cutter. So just hold the little handle at the back of the cutter and press, I'll just go on the edge there, that on, and then pop that onto your paste. Don't press too hard, just firm but not too hard. You sort of tap, tap, tap really. And then just take that away so you have the colour on there. Now if you wanted the colour all the way round, then you can cut on the edge, leaving the coloured edge, or you can just use that as a guide, which I'm going to do now. So I'll get rid of the colour around the edge. And should you find that any of the letters hasn't embossed with the colour as neatly as you'd like, then you can always just use a small paintbrush and go back to the colour pad and just do that on your paintbrush and paint in any of the areas that haven't taken. And so that can be left to dry so it stands up on the bottom of the bed, or just literally place it, again use a little water for sticking on there, and that can just be placed on the bottom. And what we do have, that comes in the set with the Santa's clothes, but what we do have is a Christmas greeting set, and they are worked exactly the same way. In the set you do get a Noel, which you can cut out those pieces, those letters, and use them to arrange where you want, but you get so many. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different sayings there, and I've got some on here that you can see. That's the December the 25th one. Doesn't come in the set, but you have Let It Snow. They could be coloured in, they could be just embossed and painted. This is just a selection of them, and just use little plaque cutters, but it's done exactly the same way. You would put your colour on. I'll just do one so that you can see. I'll do the season's greetings. So again, roll out the paste. And this is the important bit, is to, you know, the smoother over the top, because if that isn't perfectly smooth, if you have any ridges at all, then obviously the lettering isn't going to mark the paste. So it's so important to do this bit. And then take your colour. I'll do this one in red. So once you've used finished using the little pads, then you can pop them into a plastic bag, and that should keep them okay to use, keep the colour from drying out. So we'll do this red one on here, and again we'll pop that on, give a little press along, just tap tap tap, make sure that you've got all the embossing on there. If you go too deep, you'll lose the colour, it just sinks into the paste. Take that off, and then you can use a little plaque or just cut a square around it. You can do this with any of the embossers, the little flowers, and then paint them in. All sorts of our little embossers you can do this way. You can roll them up so you make a nice little plaque, and then that can be used on cakes and cookies. So again, that would go back in there and ready for next time. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and it has inspired you to have a go at the bed cake, or indeed any of the little embossing techniques. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.